Evening, everyone. Broadcasting live, March 23rd. Just reading the commentary. To our quote today. Our quote talks about helpful people. Three helpful people actually. Tayome bhikkhave pugalasa bahukara. These three people are helpful to people who live with them. The commentary points out that they're of great benefit to an andevasika pungalasa, to a person who lives with them, stays with them. Of course, in the time of the Buddha, there was no internet. There weren't even books that they wrote this stuff down on. So you had to go off into the forest to find a teacher. Did I just crash the computer? No? Okay. Now it stopped working. So there's these three type of people, and they can be understood on different levels. But I think what's interesting to me is the three concepts of what's important to be imparted. So someone who gives these things is helpful. Why? Because these things are helpful. So what is helpful? Going to the Buddha for refuge, the Dhamma for refuge, the Sangha for refuge. Someone who helps you do that is useful, is of great use, because going for refuge is of great use. Thought about this one for a while because that can be understood on different levels. The most obvious one is you do a ceremony where you say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge, I go to the Dhamma for refuge, I go to the Sangha for refuge. And the meaning of sarana here is avasaya, support, for help. I take them as my support. Beyond just a ceremony, although I guess associated with the ceremony is the level of actually taking them as a support, which I would equate with becoming Buddhist. I think it's an interesting concept and something that we should talk about. There's a lot of people who are wary of quote-unquote becoming Buddhist, or saying that they're Buddhist, or identifying themselves as Buddhist. Some people even say, identifying yourself as anything is conceit. There's an argument to be made there, but there's also a very strong argument to be made for the good on a conventional level of identifying yourself as a Buddhist, because it provides you with a sort of a filter, or not a filter, but a guide to direct you. So it informs your actions, right? If you do something and you're not a Buddhist, well, maybe I'll do something Buddhist, or I'll do something again that goes against the Buddhist teachings. But if you're Buddhist and you know it, and you think of yourself as that, you're much more likely to do things in line with the Buddhist teaching. I think a lot of people are they're not at that level where they feel like You know, they might practice a meditation and think, well, this is useful, but I don't know if I can accept the Buddha as my refuge, as my sort of guide. Can I accept the Dhamma as my guide, or do I want to look outside of the Dhamma for guidance, that kind of thing? And that's reasonable, that's understandable, and nobody's ever going to try to force you to become Buddhist or push you to become Buddhist. But in the context of this quote, I think it's important to talk about the benefit of becoming Buddhist, which I think there is. And so I think when we talk about someone through whom you take refuge, I think part of it has to do with someone who can provide you with the answers and with the conviction and with the appreciation of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, to the extent that you decide you want to become Buddhist. That you want to take the Buddha as your support, your guide. But that can even be someone who convinces you, not who convinces you, but shows you how to practice meditation and tells you the benefits of it and gives you an appreciation of the Buddha's teaching. Because it's just about taking help, right? You could argue that anybody who practices the Buddha's teaching, any kind of Buddhist meditation, is going to the Buddha for refuge, going to the Dhamma for refuge, going to the Sangha for refuge. So it doesn't have to be a ceremony, and you don't have to call yourself Buddhist. I just think there's something to be said for it. So finding the right community and someone who provides you with that appreciation is, I think, pretty awesome. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. during my first meditation course, and I've told this story several times, but it just wasn't getting better. It was really awful because I'd just come out of, spent the millennium drinking and smoking, and then like 5 days later I went off to practice meditation. It was really bad. I went to sleep really bummed out about it, and just really stressed about how awful I was doing in the course, how I couldn't get my mind to calm down, and I was just really messed up, didn't really know what I was doing. Knew that I was having a bad time though. I woke up at 3 a.m. and it just wasn't getting better, and I didn't blame the course or the center at all. I really blamed myself and said, man, I'm messed up. But I didn't know what to do. And so I was wandering around at 3 a.m. and I saw this golden Buddha statue in a bamboo. Back then they had this bamboo hall where we did walking meditation. And there was a big golden Buddha image in it, so I immediately gravitated towards it. And I knelt down in front of the Buddha, and I went through the refuge, and I was crying, and it really helped, to just say, I get it, because it was part of it was just like, I get it. I'm really, I need this. I need to straighten up. And so I just, gave myself as a student to the Buddha, and really considered. I'm not saying that this is how it should go, but this is, in my experience, it was quite useful. It wasn't enough. Obviously, I had to do a lot of work still, but taking refuge was a real support for me. They talk about how it takes some of the pressure off of you because you put yourself, you put your trust, which can be dangerous if you're putting your trust in something not trustworthy. But if you put your trust in something trustworthy, takes some of the burden off of you to have to worry about, are you doing the right thing and so on. You just put your trust and you say, come what may, I'm going to follow this. It makes it easier, and it gives you the encouragement, can help you through your practice. But you really only take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha technically when you become a Sotapanna. So Sotapanna takes refuge in the Buddha, but the commentary does something good, and it says, no, this is just referring to someone who gives the formula and helps you to make a determination that you're going to follow the Buddha's teaching, whatever that form that may take. Because the second one, someone who teaches you the Four Noble Truths, well, that's someone who leads you to Sotapanna. A Sotapanna is someone who sees and understands the Four Noble Truths. So you could argue that anyone who teaches you intellectually what are the Four Noble Truths, well, that's not easy to find, and that person has done you a good service. But that's not what the commentary says is happening here. And the Four Noble Truths, from a practical perspective, are really the core of vipassana, the core of what we're trying to gain. So if you wonder, why the heck am I doing this, walking and sitting so much? What's the real reason? You're trying to understand the Four Noble Truths. The first one, you're trying to understand suffering. And you're trying to understand that there is suffering, and that the things which we cling to are actually unsatisfying, or stressful. Everything, if you have physical things that you cling to, thoughts that you cling to, emotions that you cling to, sights or sounds or smells or tastes or feelings, or sights, sounds, smells, tastes, feelings, or thoughts that you cling to, that's a cause for suffering. So the second noble truth is that it's the craving that causes suffering. The clinging, the trying to fix things or trying to keep things, trying to maintain things, that's suffering. Partiality that makes you want things to be a certain way and want them not to be a different way. The cessation, the third truth, is the cessation of suffering. I mean, that's the awesome one. When there's no more craving, there's no more suffering. That's it. Quite simple. So the first two are really the ones that we work on in meditation. And when you get to the point where you are able to let go of craving, when you really let go, then the third one, there's the cessation of suffering. The fourth one is the path to the cessation of suffering. It's last because it answers the question, well, okay, you want to be free from suffering, how do you do that? So the fourth one sums it all up and says, there is an eightfold noble path, and that's what leads to the cessation of suffering. So the intellectual appreciation is quite useful, but someone who helps you see these things, who helps you actually practice so that you see that the things that you cling to, and in fact you're clinging in general, is all stressful, it's all useless. That person is the person who helps you see nirvana for the first time. That's a hard person to find. And so that's a useful thing. The reason why it's a useful person is because seeing nirvana is the most awesome thing you can see. It eradicates doubt and wrong view and wrong practice, because you know the right practice because you've seen the truth. You've seen the goal. And the third person who's of great benefit is the person who helps you destroy defilement. So that's someone who helps you become an arahant, helps you become free from all defilements. So after becoming a sotapanna, commentaries, this is the person who helps you then go on to become a arahant. Yang pugalang agama pugalo asawanang kaya anasawang ceto vimutting panya vimutting diteva dhamme sayang abinya satchikatva upasambhajja vihanti. Which person, depending on which person, a person abides, having attained through seeing for oneself with higher knowledge in this very life. With the destruction of the asava, of the taints, of the poisons in the mind, the freedom of mind, liberation of mind from the asavas, no, the untainted liberation of mind, the untainted liberation through wisdom. So liberation of mind actually is probably better. Liberation through meditation, I guess you would say, through samatha, through tranquility. And then the panya vimutti is liberation through wisdom. Ceto vimutti, panya vimutti. No, that's awesome. If you can find someone who helps you do that. I mean, really, the Buddha is the one who does all of these for us. We still have the Buddha, he's still around. Through his teachings like this, teachings in the Tipitaka, we still have his teachings. And they're very good teachings. You can doubt that this is all exactly what the Buddha said, that's fine, but there's no reason to doubt the teachings in the Tipitaka. Not in general. If you want to doubt some specifics, that's fine. I don't disagree with that, but the general message and teachings in the Pitaka are very powerful and have a great benefit to us all. So the fact that we've come across this, someone who in the history who we never met, had this system and this understanding of reality, it's just something that we should appreciate. So this sutta is about appreciation of good things, and sort of laying out what are good things, and appreciation of people like the Buddha who brought us these things. Just a short sutta, but a good quote. Anyway, that's the Dhamma for tonight. I'm going to post the Hangout. If anybody has questions, you're welcome to come on. It's a busy time these days. Lots of things happening. Went to another MISCA meeting, the McMaster Indigenous Students Community Alliance or whatever, and they're going to work with us on the Peace Symposium. I really think it's important because we can't talk about peace elsewhere or peace in general without addressing the fact that Canada has a problem from the point of view of peace. We're not at peace. We haven't made peace with the indigenous peoples of this country. And most people don't really know the extent of it, like the apartheid situation and the cultural genocide and the legacy of residential schools. They just picked up kids from their society, from their communities, sometimes just kidnapped them and brought them to these residential schools. You can go ahead. You don't have to leave. I'm just going to talk about other things. It's just not about me. You're welcome to stay if you want. Did you have a question? No. So, I really want them to be a part of our symposium. I really want to support them because, I don't know, maybe it's not entirely Buddhist, but I think there's an argument from the point of view of peace. No, I mean, the big thing for me is the mental health issues, because these people were really hurt, and there's a lot of hurt a lot of anger, a lot of self-hatred, not self-hatred, but hatred for their own culture because they were brainwashed and told that it was wrong, that kind of thing, and told it was wrong to speak their own language. I mean, just the mental health issues. Of course, then the sexual abuse and the physical abuse and emotional abuse that went on at these places. And just the emotional abuse of the whole thing, being taken away from your families and your culture. It's just, and that's our legacy. I mean, I think this was happening up until the 90s or something. I don't know, there was just such stuff going on. Anyway, so I want to help them. I want to, I mean, not help them in the sense of, you know, in a condescending sort of way, but be an ally, and do what I can to help them heal, to be supportive of their healing process. Is there something I can do to own up to the responsibility that we all share? Master University is actually on their land, I think. It's like, I don't know the history of it, but people don't appreciate the suffering that has gone on here. So that's interesting. And they're just nice people, and they have nice traditions. Like we smudge, we have this smoke at their meetings, and you put the smoke over you, and it's meant to represent purifying your thoughts, and it's a symbolic gesture, which I really like. I mean, Buddhists have symbolic gestures. The symbolic gesture of using the smoke to represent your good intentions. So they put it in their eyes so that they look at things clearly, and in their mouth so that they remind them to speak clearly. Really good traditions. I bet we'd have problems with some of the hunting and stuff that they do. It's not all roses, but I'm not so interested in their culture as I am in helping them to find peace. Not actively, but do whatever I can to support their journey to find peace, because there's a lot of suffering, high suicide rates on the reservations, and drug abuse, alcohol abuse. I brought that up, and they said maybe it's not that big of a problem down here, but in the north it was apparently a big problem. I went to high school with lots of indigenous people. So there's that. There's the Peace Symposium. We're having a meeting tomorrow. I went to the Wellness Center today, talked to Taryn. She's really nice. They wanted to do something meditative, and maybe they still will. I hope they do. I'll have to go talk to her again about that, I think. Got my religious studies. Remember I said I'm doing this paper on the Lotus Sutra? Well, I had to submit a proposal. Got it back today. I got a 95. And I shouldn't talk about it. That's good. So I can still do this scholarly thing. When I get my paper written, I'm going to post it on the internet and just have everybody out there check it for grammar and stuff. I think that's what I'll do. Because he said, make sure someone reads our TA said, make sure someone reads. You shouldn't be the only one who reads your paper before you submit it. So I'll just get you guys to read it. People didn't. I did that with my book, my latest, the second part of my book, which I still haven't finished. I think there's still one chapter left, and then we'll finish it. So nobody's coming on the Hangout. I'll take that as a sign that I can go. Nothing else happening. What else is happening? Oh, there's too much stuff to think of. Got lists of stuff I have to do. Anyway, that's all for tonight. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.